Welcome to this section on Scrum Theory. Scrum Theory is a vital section. I hope you pay close attention to it and perhaps even come back to it after you've taken the other lessons. Scrum Theory is the glue that binds all the other Scrum practices together and takes them to a higher level. Let's get started. We use Scrum to control a process. Originally, Scrum was designed for controlling the software development process, and we're going to use it to control the business applications implementation process, which is pretty similar to software development. There are broadly two types of process control methods: defined process control and empirical process control. Defined processes follow a set of repeatable steps to achieve an expected result. When we are in a controlled environment that doesn't change or vary, then we can easily predict the outputs we'll get from a given set of inputs. Defined process control has these characteristics. Firstly, it's in a controlled environment. If you're familiar with the PRINCE2 project management methodology, PRINCE is an abbreviation for projects in a controlled environment. PRINCE2 is a defined process control method. Secondly, for a given set of inputs, we get the same set of outputs. There's very little variation and lots of predictability. Thirdly, because of this, defined process control does not deal well with change and is designed to resist changes. Building a Lego set by following the instructions is a defined process. We have a consistent set of inputs, the same pieces in every set, and a detailed set of instructions so that we arrive with a product that looks exactly like the one in the box. Anyone 16 years or older, or 7 in my son's case, should be able to build this set without any specialist experience. Following a defined process is not complex or creative work. No one can write down all the instructions to implement complex business software. Give those instructions to a team of people and get the exact software they were expecting. It doesn't matter how detailed the instructions are. I could spend 1,000 days specifying all the requirements in detail, hand the specification over to 2 different teams, and receive 2 applications that behaved differently. Organizations, their business processes, and their application requirements are just too complex for a defined process. And they are different from one organization to the next. So even if you had a great set of requirements for one organization, they probably won't work in the next one. Organizations, even within the same industry, are different. There are always similarities, of course. That's why we have industry accelerators and vertical ISVs. An organization's competitive advantage lies in those differences. Like a Lego box set, if you're implementing a very simple business application to meet an organization's requirements, then a defined process will provide you with a repeatable set of procedures. You'll be able to implement your business application in a few days or weeks without using skilled resources. You'll be able to provide a fixed scope, fixed price, fixed time package of services. This kind of approach works well for some projects, such as some Dynamics 365 Business Central projects, especially where the Microsoft partner has used their creativity to pre-configure Business Central for small businesses in defined vertical industries. But I don't believe that defined processes are appropriate in most organizations who require the software to be adapted to their unique requirements that provide them with competitive advantage. Let's look at the alternative. An empirical process achieves its outcome through observation and experience. When we are in an uncontrollable environment, we can't predict the outputs we'll get from a given set of inputs. Instead, we need to frequently observe our output and refine our process through a scientific method. Empirical process control has these characteristics. Firstly, it's in an environment that isn't completely under our control. Secondly, because of this, we must continually acquire knowledge through experimentation, applying an open growth mindset. This leads us to expect and embrace change, to anticipate that our inputs will shift, and to be able to embrace the changes by adjusting to them. Empirical processes are better at handling complex work where creativity is required to solve a unique problem that hasn't been solved before. We can use an empirical process to handle uncertainty in our environment, changes to our requirements, and we can achieve the desired outcomes even without a detailed set of instructions. I believe that an empirical process is more appropriate for almost every Microsoft Business Applications project involving more than 2 or 3 people over 2 or 3 months. Sometimes you'll hear about business applications professionals using a hybrid approach, blending what they hope is the best of their defined process, a waterfall methodology, with the most attractive parts of an empirical process, an Agile framework like Scrum. Where I find a hybrid approach so challenging is that the underlying theories are at opposite ends of a continuum. Waterfall methodologies are a defined process because they expect no variation and lots of predictability. They gather all the requirements at the outset, perform the design up front, specify the tasks necessary to achieve the design, and then work hard to complete the tasks while resisting changes. And they don't need feedback loops because the instructions were already written and there's nothing new to learn. Agile frameworks like Scrum lie at the other end of the continuum. Scrum lets the requirements and the designs emerge, expects and embraces change, and encourages learning through experimentation. A hybrid approach might be a tempting stepping stone on your way to agility, but I don't think you'll experience the benefits of Scrum unless you embrace all of Scrum.